live and I got rid of my window bars with the Metal Lab. And for those of you who are in attendance and are seeing, yes, guys, he's back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Mr. Tom Kerr.
Hello. I feel like a stranger in a strange land. It's amazing how quick things move around these parts when you're not here. Nice to be back. I'm here to learn about HeroClix.
It's funny because so was I. We're also joined once again from Happy Little Heroclix. Welcome, Devon.
Hey.
And at some point, Jay will be joining us. He just had a little bit of a late dinner this evening, so he is not quite ready to rock, as it were.
He needs to convert to the liquid dinner diet.
I'm kind of on my own liquid dinner here. Low carb alcohol. So with that, let's kind of get into the short part of the show this week, which is This Week in HeroClix. And Tom, you've been gone for a while. How you been?
Yeah. Last 2 months in HeroClix. I can sum this up pretty quickly. The last time I played was at New York State's, which at this point must have been 3 to 4 weeks ago. That was a last-minute thing I discovered the night before that I was free and was able to hit the road and get out there. And I had a great time doing it. No, I'm not going to talk a lot about it because it's old news, but suffice to say I had quite a bit of fun. I made the cut to top 8, and then I got beaten out by The Undertaker in top 8. So, I can't hardly complain about that. If I'm going to get beaten, then let it be the dead man. Before that, the last time I'd played HeroClix at all, practice or fun or tournament or whatever, was Worlds. Wow. So that's how much I've played HeroClix in the last 2 months. Right. I was going real hard with busy times at work and also a musical that I was music directing over the course of the last couple months. So rehearsals took up most of my time, and then performances took up time from that. So, it was a great show, and I worked with a wonderful group of people, a great cast. I was really happy and proud of how it all went down. But it has meant taking a bit of a Clix vacation, and so I am looking forward to being back into it. But I'll be honest with you, this is my first foot back in the water. So if anybody watches this channel with an expectation of hearing authoritative HeroClix information from HeroClix authorities, then that certainly isn't me. And
oddly enough,
I got to get back on that horse and ride a little bit. So
I think what's released since Worlds. We
WWE.
had a Star Trek set. Yeah, WWE Star Trek.
Yep.
And also X-Men. X-Men was not fully released as of Worlds. We got to play with it, obviously. But
we're up to X-Men Unpainted now this past week.
Yeah.
So I understand, and maybe that's one of the few things that we actually have to talk about.
We actually kind of talked about it already, Tom.
All right, that's fine. Hey, I have nothing to contribute. It's certainly not for me, insofar as I have no interest in painting things, nor any ability. So between those two things, as long as pre-painted is still an option, then it is an option that I will take, and I think the more the merrier for unpainted.
Well,
they have the Switch Clicks.
Yeah. One of the beauties is you can actually take the unpainted figures and switch them with one of the Regenesis figures at the same model and everything like that, so it all kind of works out for itself.
I don't think you even have to switch. If you want to just
leave them unpainted.
Yeah.
There's
no Warhammer rule here. Yeah.
And also, I want to point out, from now on, everybody who plays against Tom in the top 8 and is using The Undertaker is required to win. I want a new streak to get started.
Yes. Hey, I'm into it. It's got to play with The Undertaker. Shades of SummerSlam.
Even if
SummerSlam 96 or whatever it was, Undertaker versus Undertaker.
If there's no Undertaker on the opposite side of the board, you have to slide one onto the table and hope no one catches.
No, in this case, he's allowed to win in the top 8 as long as the first round of the top 8 isn't The Undertaker. It's kind of like the WrestleMania streak.
Yeah, exactly.
Devon, how you been this week?
Really busy. We had Thanksgiving down south, I suppose. So this past weekend was recovering from that, doing a bunch of chores. I did go shopping on our Black Friday, which is a retail holiday.
We know it well. It's an international event.
So I made sure the one time of the year I'd actually go out and buy the Orville. Oh my gosh.
Nice. Yeah.
I didn't even know. Oh, okay.
The Orville, such iconic characters as Gordon Malloy, Alara Kitan.
Hey, she's probably got super strength.
Yeah. Commander John Lamar.
She probably has leadership.
Isaac.
I do get a joke. I get a chuckle out of this because of all of our cast in this show, Tom is most frequently compared to Seth MacFarlane.
Oh, I got him. He's right here.
Yeah, that's true. That is me.
And you would be like fully familiar with all the characters in the Orville. It's a show I am unfortunately hadn't had a chance to watch just yet. Whoops, Discord.
I have not seen it either. So
it's one of my to-do. Like I plan on watching it. So
don't watch it as a requirement, or else you may regret it. But if you just got nothing else to do, I think it's a fun watch. But I don't think it's anything to get excited about. I mean, others may disagree.
I have enough going on that I just don't have time. But there's at least one figure on here that makes a bystander token that I thought was worth it. Well, it was on discount. Why not? You get a cool map.
I was going to say I'm sure it's got maps and stuff.
It was Rantel and Jay beating me in the top or at the final round of Swiss and Popper. So
really,
all that sidestep because he gives a Jason character sidestep.
Oh, the bystander, not the map.
Not the map. Yeah, no, the bystander. And then the fact that he had support twice in a turn.
How long has this been out?
It came out like 2 weeks before our Popper States.
Oh my good lord!
Yeah, it was around the same time as WWE.
Oh goodness!
It's the exact same week WWE came out. The Orville came out. So.
Well, I wonder which one overshadowed the other.
What drew more hype?
Yeah, exactly. What drew more money?
Let me tell you all 5 new players that came to my venue to play the Orville HeroClix.
Wait, hold on. You got more than one?
They all came. They all bought a starter, and they were like, "We're so excited to sit down with the Orville HeroClix. We don't know anything else about the game."
But they didn't WWE the Orville, so they're not going to have a fun time.
No, I doubt I'll be playing most of any of these. Oh well.
At the very least, the map is pretty much an approximation of the Enterprise. So
yeah, that's what I was sort of excited for since the Enterprise one got axed. It's the closest we'll probably
and the
ever
OP
get.
for the TNG set. I played on the map in casual. It was a good map, actually. It was
Gosh darn it! I've been out of this for way too long. There's an Enterprise map?
Yeah.
There was.
There was going to be a neoprene one, which was canceled with the first set, and then we were supposed to get an OP kit with TNG with Mark Twain and I think maps, and that was canceled. So,
I've only been out of this for 2 months. Like, it feels like we could do an entire show on just what I've missed in 2 months of this game.
I mean,
and there's like nothing else to talk about because apparently there's nothing new. So how fast are things moving if I've missed apparently hours of content and there's nothing new to talk about?
Well, you see, Tom, you haven't been on the show for those hours of content that we've talked about too. And
I know.
a lot of these maps are speculation and previous like cancellations and stuff like that. I think we may have brought them up in passing in the past, and then all of a sudden we just forgot about them because we get the information from the solicits so early, and then it comes to real time, and you look at it and go, wait a second, was there something that forget it, and it's just completely left your mind. So,
well, cancellations are rare, but they still apparently do happen. Like I think Rebirth was supposed to have a token pack.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Jay, now that you're here, how's your week been in HeroClix? You've probably done more HeroClix than all 3 of us combined.
0 is not more.
Okay, I apologize.
I was going to.
You are.
I was going to run a tournament on Sunday. It was coincidentally. I was going to play Clock King, and it ended up being Scott's birthday, so that was pretty cool. But it ended up being that I got out of work at midnight, and then I had to drive like a half hour home, and then the only other people signed up were Mike and Emily. It was just not worth it, and also like the snow, so it just ended up canceling it.
True.
But I was going to play a fun 500-point Suicide Squad with the new Lobo and some other cool stuff, but oh well.
I too was going to run an event, and much like Jay, the freezing rain definitely kept people away, including the owner of the store. So the store, our store owner couldn't get out of his driveway with all the ice and whatnot that we had in town, so we didn't really get a chance to play. Though I'm not gonna lie, I did introduce my kids to the Wendigo today as a character through HeroClix, so that's something.
Yeah,
Feel sorry for your kids.
Yeah. Well, sorry. I didn't introduce them via the game of HeroClix. They were talking about what is a Wendigo, and I was like,
okay.
Come with me, and I showed them my HeroClix Wendigo.
Got it. You didn't make them experience Wendigo.
No, I love my kids.
Yes, it's
You don't have
really,
to ground them next time. You have to sit them down and be like, all right, we're going to play with this Wendigo character now.
you've really thrown them into a weird direction. They're going to go to school, and then we'll try to learn about the Wendigo, and they'll say, yes, it's a
white albino monkey looking thing.
It's a First Nations legend of a plastic figurine. And we're like, what?
My dad has a statue of Wendigo.
Yep. And I'm a fan of it.
It is said in the legends of the tribes that it can heal past its starting line.
No. I mean, how
It's
many
the
kids
lore
are ruined
now?
by Thor? So, like, I'm not the first one to ruin my kids. Any parent who's taken their kid to go see Thor has ruined their idea of Norse mythology.
I'm not the first person to ruin their kids. Jason Collin.
My parents ruined me with the Thor comics, I want to point out. Because I started reading Norse mythology after I read the Thor comics. Because I was like, you have sorely misinformed me. It's like, no, we just gave you the comics.
As you do.
You're reading now, aren't you, kid?
So what you're saying is we're going to get a 2020 colony of, what was it, Thor dresses Frigga?
Sure.
That happened.
I'd be down.
Thor punishing the peasants for eating his goats.
Dead Balder.
Balder who looks like Conor McGregor. That's what we're going to get.
Perfect.
Anybody played the new God of War game? No?
Yeah, I didn't get the reference when you said it, but it is a super good game, and now I get it.
I was reaching for that because content is definitely at a all-time low right now. This is probably the longest time where we don't have a great deal with which to talk about because the WKOs were kind of shoved aside for states this kind of time of year, and then our next set of WKOs is until February. Our next releases aren't until February, which is Captain America and the Avengers, which we have no previews for. So it's kind of that downtime. But we have a lot of people who watch us in the States. And some of us help us from the States, like Devon here.
Indeed.
And
Hi.
we decided, we did our own little, I think, did we do what we give thanks for in HeroClix this year for our own Canadian Thanksgiving? We may or may not have. Doesn't matter.
I sure
We're
did.
going to do it for the American one. Because we need something to do today. And I wanted to make it a little bit of an activity, and we're thankful for something in HeroClix one way or another. It's a great game. It's given us, some of us, more than a decade of fun and enjoyment and new people to meet. And that's kind of where we're going to go from here. So I'm going to let Devon take the lead. What are you thankful for? You man who's supposed to be celebrating this holiday this past weekend.
Yeah, right. The actual U.S. citizen. I am thankful for the HeroClix content creator community because there is always something fun to watch.
Agreed.
I do. There is a lot of really
Or
good
listen
content
to.
out
There's a
there.
ton of podcasts.
Yeah.
Some of my favorites: Dial H for HeroClix, Edward Shelton's Starting Over podcast. HeroClix Borderlands hasn't done one in a while, but that was a pretty cool Shay. He did a good job down there. I think he's in the South. There's even stuff in like Thailand. There was a couple of YouTube channels out there for a little while.
I know there's a Brazilian channel I think might actually still be subscribed to on YouTube. I didn't understand a word they were saying, but I gave them to subscribe because like go HeroClix. Just
Trying their best.
Yeah, certainly Majestics is still doing their thing, and Critical Clicks.
Oh man, you know what I miss is road trips where we listen to Critical Clicks.
Road trips in general. I'll be happy to get those back again. Maybe once the ice dies down a little.
Yeah, a little less slippery and a little less die-worthy.
Yeah, you know.
Tom, what are you thankful for?
I don't know. It's funny that you ask because the obvious answer, and it's only obvious because I think it's so true, is the community at large. I mean, we've said it on this show innumerable times, and so I'm not breaking new ground here. But one of the things that seems to separate HeroClix from so many other games, which admittedly I haven't been a part of, so I'm speaking a little bit through with somebody else's words or speaking a little bit speciously perhaps, but it definitely feels like you've got a constantly supportive and mostly positive community. And when you work in a place where it's constantly releasing new stuff and there are a lot of shifting pieces, it's amazing that we get through as much as we do without a real lot of festering negativity. It's not to say there isn't any negativity, but it doesn't tend to fester, I find. At least not as far as it touches me. And who knows, maybe if I was more deep into it, then I would be feeling differently about it. But honestly, I love the fact that, like I said, I went down to New York States, hadn't played the game in more than a month, like not even a game in more than a month. Showed up, and not only immediately did I sort of know a lot of the people there and they knew me, but everybody was being very supportive, understanding of the fact that we were, there were lots of new things. I hadn't really familiarized myself as much as I could have with the WWE rules, and so everybody was happy to help me out with that. And obviously looking at the backs of cards was a whole new thing, and we were able to talk about it and stuff. And there's a lot of things that have changed, and immediately you kind of get introduced to a support network of people who are happy to help you through that thing, even in the context of a competitive tournament. And as long as that is still the case, then I think that HeroClix is in a good place. So I'm really I'll take the low-hanging fruit since it was lobbed to me to take. I really am. I'm thankful for a community of people who are more interested in being supportive of one another and supportive of the game than in advancing their own cause. And that may not be true to a person, but I think that if I had to profile our community, that's the sort of profile I would give it, and that's a good profile.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely true. It's like we'll find the outliers, and somebody can chime in the chat and say, "I know a guy." Cool, you know a guy. You know the one true Scotsman.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Jay, what you thankful for?
You got all the good ones.
If I have the easy ones and the obvious.
Got all the easy ones. There's more that we can dig deeper.
I guess my answer would be thankful for WizKids specifically and all the diversity of the game, both in terms of different IP and mechanics. Like, if you look at what we have in Modern, we have Marvel, DC, Turtles, Star Trek, both Next Generation and Original Series, WWE, Orville, and now we're getting like unpainted miniatures, and we're getting Fantastic Four again, and we got some movie sets which we hadn't gone in a while. Like, we got the Captain Marvel movie set this year, and then we're getting another female-led movie set next year with the Black Widow one. So just a lot of diversity. And I mean, I'm not a WWE person at all, but they just made it so good that I just couldn't help but get like I think half of the singles or so, and the ring starter because I needed it because of the ring. But even then, Finn Balor is so cool. But
yeah, the effort shows for WWE. It's super good.
Mm-hmm.
And the Star Trek TNG clicks were so good it got me to start watching the show. So
wow,
all the interesting stuff that they're doing, mechanic and actual like IP wise, is really good.
Awesome. I'm thankful for a number of things. One of which, and most importantly, is having a new store. Dolly's being, and it's a store that's super convenient to me. It's a 7-minute walk away from my house, but it's also given me a chance to teach new players the game, and this is an ideal environment with which to teach people the game of HeroClix. The rules are really new, and the experienced players who are coming are more than willing to teach, and it's just been a great experience trying to usher in and experience the new player experience alongside these newer players, because one of my things lately has been like, are decisions being made for newer players? And in some cases they are, and I'm watching two players pick up the game at different paces, which is really cool. And I'm watching the way that they're picking it up and everything like that, and so much has changed in the time just alone when they started, because they picked up the game at the X-Men animated series set. Like, that's their first introduction set to the game of HeroClix. So between that, we have the X-Men set, which has basically a little bit of everything for somebody to learn the game, along with, the new rules to reading the cards all of a sudden, plus these new WWE things with which to teach people the game. And I've seen how that new experience works with them. So having a store with which to run the game, share the game with a new audience, a new crop of players, has been one heck of an awesome experience, and I wouldn't change that for anything. And I want to, thank WizKids for pushing as hard as they did this year, with some really cool ideas and some really new, some attempts at making the game new player friendly, and making the competitive play an environment that they're making attempts to introduce new players into competitive play. So not just leaving players to be like, here's the game, you figure out how you want to play the game and then stumble across competitive play. They're kind of making it accessible to them. I understand what they're trying to do, and while I have my agreements and disagreements, etc., etc., they've been doing the work, and that's what counts. So I really appreciate all the hard work and everything that's gone into the game, and I really look forward to what we see next year, which we're going to talk about next week, where we're going to kind of hypothesize some neat things we would like to see in 2020. Just because that idea came up, but I didn't have enough time to think about it.
Fair enough.
And that said,
You want to throw more stuff out? You want to just keep on riffing on thankfulness?
Riffing on thankfulness. I mean, like Devon said, the content creator community has been great. Plus, I find when we have questions for each other, we're very open for each other. This is a kind of a behind the scenes thing, but I know very few content creators who will brick wall me or not. If I have a question about how they do things and they have a question about how I do things, I will happily, we all kind of share back and forth, which is, something that's great, because nobody's trying to stifle anybody, because the more content creators we have, the more chance of attention getting out there, and the more attention we have out there, the better. I mean, I may have 3,000 subscribers, and Mr. Clicksfix might have 3,000 subscribers, but they may be 3,000 different subscribers on both channels. Where Critical Clicks will have, their subscribers, and there might be enough differences in there that enough people are getting reached in this game, and there's enough attention being paid. So that community of people, and the way that we're willing to help prop each other up and mention each other when we can, is awesome. And I do like the non front to front, non face to face conversations that me and Edward Sheldon often find ourselves having through our
comment threads and stuff.
Not even our comment threads, but like, hey, I heard Edward say this, and I'm going to talk about this. Hey, I heard Jason say this, and I'm going to talk about this. Yeah. our one sided conversations we have with each other. It's kind of fun. Although I got a good chuckle out of the fact that he thinks I'm going to wrap him into the Married with Clicks fold soon. And I was like, wait, I'm absorbing channels? And then I realized Devon's right here.
Join us.
That's right. Yeah.
Join us, Edward.
One of us. He's been on 3 of our shows, or 3 of our round tables so far. And I got to bring that. I'm bringing that back next year, man. That's always a ton of fun.
That'd be fun.
Always.
Right. Jay, keep the train going. What else are you thankful for, Jay?
Got to unmute yourself first, though, Jay. I'm thankful that Jay knows how to use his mic. Nope, still not there.
I'm thankful that he's forgotten how to use his mic lately.
In fairness, it actually froze up and I couldn't get to it.
I see.
It did. Oh my gosh. Why? Why are you doing this to me? I don't know. I already said a big one.
Well, pick another one. We're trying to keep the show going, Jay. We like HeroClix. Keep talking about it. We have no content.
It's great. Haha.
This is a more particular for me one, but I'm grateful. I really enjoy creative team building, and there was some very interesting. Let's call it. I will call it keyword cheating that we got this year, like Silver Sable. Like the fact that if I'm playing a Golden Age game, I can pull out Big Show and play him with the DC Authority and add Eternity and add like all these different things and just characters that like what was it, Taskmaster? Like I just like how silly a team could look and still
Prez.
Yeah, get theme team. Obviously, yeah, Prez.
Eternity I just don't with all new Wolverine will work.
Yeah. Yep. Just the fact that I have to intentionally not add Prez to every team is just so good. And it makes for some very interesting creative team building. Like I can add, if I want to play Onslaught and some wrestlers with the Monster and then play Captain Venom and throw in the Pin Pocket Tank, because why would you not?
No, that's a given.
So it's just, it's the kind of teams that you can see in any environment, and especially competitive. It's just so fun. And then that's all I have, including just generic in general, where you can play like Gardner and Q and Trelane and Dark Phoenix. It's just, and there's like no DC Cosmic. What's DC Cosmic? The Skyscraper 101.
Oh boy. Starro.
Starro.
Mr.
Always.
Oz.
There's a lot of DC we're missing.
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
To be fair.
Yeah.
To be fair, it is much less than any other thing, but yeah.
I'm gonna piggyback because Jay mentioned the Big Show. Hey, Tom, did you catch that the Big Show has a traitor trait?
I did. Of course I did. I at least got to pay attention while that was all coming out. That's pretty exciting.
And Sasha has it. Sasha Banks has it too.
It's not as
Yeah.
funny for Sasha Banks as it is
No.
for the Big Show. Because
Why?
I mean, yeah.
one of the jokes
Wow.
is that in wrestling, the Big Show. Somebody's made a chart of this, and the amount of times that the Big Show as a wrestler has changed from good guy to bad guy is astronomical.
Yeah. He's changed within the same show.
Yes.
Heel face, heel face, heel face.
Yes, exactly. He's got heel face, sometimes, as Tom said, in the same show.
It's very funny.
Devin, do you
Oh,
have
did anybody see? Just one more thing. Did anybody see? I think this is one. I think was it Paradise Click? Somebody posted the picture of Black Adam and The Rock together, the Clicks versions. It was
I know I shared a photo of that
That's awesome.
an artist rendition of The Rock giving Shazam a rock bottom.
Oh, that's fine. It's too bad you can't theme them
It was
together.
captioned, "It doesn't matter what your name is."
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so good. I'm gonna find it and share
That's
it.
the best part.
Yeah, I remember that.
But Devin, do you have anything else you're thankful for while I find this picture?
I'm thankful for Bellevue, Nebraska, for being a kind of like bizarro world for the rules. I gave Jason a taste of this last week. Tom, Jay, to give you context
Okay.
for this, you know how you'll read in a science article sometime the Arctic tundra will melt and they'll uncover an underground lake with like life inside that hasn't been touched by the outside world for thousands and thousands of years.
I like where this analogy's going. Carry on.
So in Bellevue, Nebraska, there's I won't name this particular venue. I don't want to send any hate their way, but it is as if the rules evolved into their own kind of entirely different game. I led with the best last week. Here's Battle Fury. Battle Fury means if you have it, you cannot be shot at because you are too angry.
Well,
That was number one. I'll give you one more piece this week. Did you happen to know there's no difference between uppercase and lowercase protected? No, I mean that's not as outrageous, but
right.
It happens to mean all colossal characters are protected pulse wave. Because
So wait, is it everybody has like they both everybody has both versions at the same time?
no, there's just no indistinguishable difference. So yeah, they basically have both.
It's just
So-
one thing. Okay.
Yeah, so when giant size at the end says protected pulse wave, that of course means
They have
that
protected pulse wave.
every colossal is protected from pulse wave. You cannot pulse wave them.
So almost all colossals have redundant stop then, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I can give
Yeah.
you one more. So is it Chronos? That's an eternal. Has the
Yes.
eternal keyword, right?
Mhm.
You can pick colossal stamina with Unimind to make Unimind. It's
No.
Unimind is also protected pulse wave because of his trait that says
Ugh.
protected pulse wave.
Oh, okay.
I'll show
Yeah.
myself out.
There you go.
I'm never showing myself into that door. I'm just-
Sounds
I
awesome.
like to observe from the outside. I have a friend of mine that'll attend this venue and come back with stories. Simeon from Dial H can tell you all about this venue
Wacky.
and their shenanigans
That-
if you ever want to ask.
That reminds me of, I don't know if other Devon has talked about it, but his weird house rules. I think he talked about it on Clicked Off, where they had really weird rules because they had no idea how to play because he and his brother were like 8 at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Colossal or Trigon from Crisis being the best figure of all time,
I sent
which
you
he
the picture
still
on
plays to
WhatsApp.
this
Yeah,
day.
I can forgive someone for being 8. This
Yeah.
venue is like grown men who have played this game for years and have just never left, never read. They'll have the rule book, and then just like it's like they give it one glance and they kind of just guess. They'll read like half the sentence.
Yeah,
and
they'll
be
look
like,
at Battle Fury. They'll see something about
something
carrying.
about Something about ranged attacks.
Something about ranged attacks.
Yeah.
So I guess that
I
means
guess
they
I
can't
just get-
be
yeah,
targeted by ranged
Can't
attacks.
be
Okay.
maked the target of a ranged attack.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
Okay.
great.
Hey.
I want to actually go sometime and just
I
soak it in.
almost want to like get the full list of rules and just metagame it just for fun. And just find out and then send simian teams to play in this environment.
Those sound like the sort of thing you'd be into.
Oh, I love it. And it gives me an aneurysm at the same time for obvious reasons.
I love
but
learning how
it.
to play new games. So
I love game.
Yeah, like you already hear horror stories of people like arguing about what Highlander means. Like just imagine like a new player who's like learned the basic rules shows up and they're like, "Wait, what? What game is this?"
Yeah.
we're a couple years away from people who have lived without an like adults who have lived who were born in years where Highlander movies were way before their time. Like I think the last one was Highlander Endgame in like the early 2000s.
Oh, well, let's
So-
be
He
clear
wasn't in
here.
Avengers
The last
Endgame.
one was the second one.
Whoa,
I believe they may have
the last one was the
released
first one.
other
If you're
movies.
going to include the second one one's crap.
Yeah, but at least it got fairly widely released. No one's seen the Highlander Resurrection. I'm going to assume is what it's called because everything's
I'm
called
on the
that.
cusp here because I know what Highlander character is.
Mhm.
I've never seen a movie.
Oh,
with the
you have
Highlander
to do
in it.
yourself the favor. But
I've seen the Robot Chicken parody, but I've not seen the actual.
there's a Highlander movie that has Edge from pro wrestling, which means at least 1 million people watched it just for Edge.
And immediately forgot about it.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure, but I got to find out when that one came out. But anyway, we kind of diverged from topic. Tom,
Still counts.
what's your second thing that you're thankful for in the HeroClix
Well,
world?
I'm gonna do a double because one's very short. But Jay mentioned it
Good.
in passing. Like when Jay was talking about the fact that we have such a variety of different products and different licenses coming out, I agree with that, and I think that's great. Specifically, I am super grateful that we finally know for sure that we're going to see Fantastic Four again. I've really missed Fantastic Four in HeroClix in a major way for a lot of years, and it's not like life doesn't go on. Yeah, we know.
I want the bad guy.
Right. Well, and I want the good guy. So, but I mean, it's you live with what you've got, and it's not like HeroClix has exactly been a drag. But I certainly have been playing long enough to remember when I could get excited about my Fantastic Four characters, and Fantastic Four has been a touchstone for me within the comics community for quite some time. I don't read nearly as many comics as I once did, and I go in and out of how much I'm reading. But I will pretty much always keep up with Fantastic Four because I have warm memories of being a kid and going into rooting through my brother. My brother's 12 years older than me, so he was into things a lot sooner than I was. And he had a big comic book collection from the 80s into the 90s that as I was of an age to start reading comics, I would start thumbing through all of his long boxes. And I really got into the Fantastic Four of the time and read through as much of it as I could get my hands on, and kind of stuck with it again through ups and downs and the Hickman stuff and everything that was so great for that. And then it kind of fell apart again. Then at the re-release, I've really enjoyed the re-released Fantastic Four since that's been out the last year or so, or X number of months, however long that's been. And so for me, they're just a constant touch point. They're a little taste of home, and this game that has been for my life so much more enriching and rewarding, and ultimately taken up so much of my intellectual activity and so much of sort of the passion of many years, so much more than comics have. These characters now. The comic book characters that started out feel to me more like HeroClix characters. I'm closer to them from HeroClix than I am to comics, is what I'm getting at. Even if the comics obviously came first, when I think of a character, I think of its HeroClix before I think of its storylines. Because to me, HeroClix has become more primary in my life than comics are. And so the Fantastic Four, for me, because they're so primary on the comics front, it's been great. It was great for a while to have them primary on the HeroClix front, and to know that that's on its way back, even if they're trash. I'm really excited to get my hands on them. I'm really excited to play them because they feel good. They feel like home. So
Tom, you know what we need in that set?
Do tell.
Remember? Well, actually, it's funny because the first set I started playing it was Galactic Guardians,
I remember.
and that was the last time we got Silver Surfer,
Yes.
and we got the original 4 Defenders in that set. Wouldn't
Yeah.
that be a cool thing if we got that lineup again?
Wouldn't it?
All
Wouldn't
4 Silver Surfers in like the same year.
Yeah, especially because the last Namor we got with the team ability was that set. And even if you can't wildcard team ability, that was the Phoenix 5 version. Like, we need... The Defender's team ability is underrepresented in this game as it is. So
I agree.
We could get... Just even get Surfer with the team ability. That would be so cool. Let alone
Yes.
Hulk.
Yeah.
Is Hulk the most recent one of them that we have had with the team ability? That's weird.
With of the originals?
Yeah. Namor hasn't had it since then. Surfer had it back then.
I feel like we had a Doctor Strange who I guess he just kind of gave adjacent characters +1
No.
defense. Didn't he? That wasn't a
No,
defense.
the one in the recent set, the one in Black Panther has the keyword, not the team ability. I don't
Right.
remember.
And then there,
Defenders War had the.
I think it was Avengers
Yeah.
Defenders War.
I think it was
Yeah.
too.
So yeah, those 4 with that team ability.
Well, there's so much that they can do, and there's so much that they even haven't done. I'm excited for that. And the other thing that I was going to say, and this is sort of something that Jason already has said, but I'll piggyback off it as well, which is I'm thankful for the ability to look at the backs of my opponent's cards. Yeah, I know it's a hot take. It's actually not so much that I'm thankful for that specific mechanic. I'm thankful to be playing in a game where they're not afraid to make that change if that's the thing they feel they need to do. Yeah, it's caused a lot of disagreement, a lot of backlash, and it's gone in a number of different directions. But I'm glad that if they felt like that's what they needed to do, then they tested the waters. People didn't like it. They didn't institute it. They tested the waters again and said, we're going to give it a go. And if it doesn't work, then they likely won't do it. But the game does not stagnate in a world where they're willing to consider something as fundamental as that, is what I'm getting at. So if you're playing in a game where they're at least willing to question the fundamentals, then I think it's a game that has the ability to grow. And I'm thankful that we live in that world, even if I don't always think that every choice they make is the right one and the directions it grows aren't always the direction I want to go. I'd rather be in that place than be in a place where everything is static and we just get more versions of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're attempting stuff. They have had Skirmish released recently. That's pretty fun. Reading cards on the back of the dial, or the dial on the back of the cards.
I'm actually kind of glad Tom read what I was saying correctly, because I while I am kind of at that point where it's like whatever, I didn't want to fight it anymore. I get where their decision on it came from, and it's strictly in a focus of competitive play. And I will continue to, say, hey, you're a new player. If this is too much information for you, stop reading it right now and just focus on your own stuff.
Right.
And, there's a little bit too much in the way of anger towards it, and I kind of get it now. And my only issue with it, like I said, when we were finished with the Pauper States, was it kind of felt like a whole lot of accounting and paperwork as opposed to the game I'm familiar with. I'm over that already. Just because we're allowed to take notes now, and I was doing that to keep score in games. And, we have all of these cards just flipping across the board. We stop using half of the table sometimes in the game, and that becomes the half that's holding the backwards cards.
You should move characters specifically into the card pile just to mess it up.
Yeah, so
that's why I just, for maps with location bonuses, I'll specifically destroy the blocking on the text. Like, haha, Juggernaut moved through your rules. What do you do? Now there are special terrain markers here.
You reminded me, I could swear I heard somebody say that you weren't allowed to destroy those blocking markers.
Oh, really?
For that exact reason.
That would be funny.
Oh
boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a game that we have a lot to be thankful for, which is great. It gave us lots to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I mean, I on maybe a very small entry onto this is the fact that again, I was serious. I've been out of the game for 2 months, which is a long time in HeroClix terms, but not a very long time in time. And so much has happened that I'm kind of glad that it feels like there is a bit of a I don't want to. It's not a depression point. It's just sort of a point of less new activity to allow everyone else to catch their breath and for me to try to catch up. So I'm happy for that. Jason and I can finally play some WWE clicks and we can have some fun.
Which ones are you going to buy first?
I can find somebody who's got the inside jokes with me.
Right?
God, it's so hard to play this stuff. I made 7 Eddie Guerrero specific references to Jay during our game, and he's just nothing. I got no sold on it. It was worthless. I was wasting my time.
That's right.
I might as well have been playing with Vince Russo. See, one guy laughs.
You may as well have been playing against 1991 Undertaker.
Right? Jeez. Oh,
Just all bouncing off him.
they're just selling nothing.
I know who Undertaker is.
Oh, good God. Oh, man. That reminds me. I do have to. I've been meaning to do it. I have to go back to my Majestics article where I wrote predictions on WWE and just call myself dumb.
Prediction, like
predictions are hard.
You made guesses. I mean, what were you going to do? And anyway, I feel like you kind of had the right. Didn't you actually say that you were something about the content of the set? I thought you were more or less on point with.
I said it was going to be fairly focused on the Attitude Era, and I was 33% correct on that one. And I said the chases were going to be old school wrestlers, and I was right about 4 characters, I think, 3 or 4.
Well, there really are no chases as such, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, like that's one of the things, the rarity breakdown.
That's like a half right, half wrong situation. It's like I identified that there's going to be a degree of classic wrestlers in there. I was just wrong on the fact that there's going to be some degree of rarity. I was completely wrong on rarity.
Right, but well, of course, because there is none. But how could you know? Every other HeroClix ever has always had rarity. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. So either way, it's going to be fun. Is there anything else we wanted to talk about before I move it to the fans and let them kind of take over?
No, not for me. I'm happy to be back, but I wish there was more to say. I want to get back playing.
Yeah. Tom, that kitchen table is ready for you anytime, man.
Hey, well, you have the benefit of the fact that you actually own the WWE clicks. That's another piece that I still am not on, and now it's going to be harder than ever to.
No, I think if 401 downtown doesn't have everything, I could go to 401 North and pick up. They should have everything.
All right.
Worst case, hit me up. I can ship up north.
Sounds like you've got a lot of services.
Yeah, it sounds like we have options, and it's good because I want to get my hands on it. Especially just having played a little bit with it in New York, it was really quite exciting. Like it was really quite fun to see how they work with everything else and how they've represented some of the characters there. Even ones that aren't overtly broken are still. I'm excited by the fact that I get to play with Trish Stratus. It doesn't really matter whether she's great or not. It matters to me more that she's on the board.
And I'm at this point. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 that I haven't played with, because there's 5 that I haven't played with because my daughter refuses to let me play with them. Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, the main set Sasha Banks.
Main set Sasha.
Yeah, and 2 other figures I can't remember. Asuka and Trish Stratus. So
perfect. I
haven't had a chance to play with those 5 because my daughter, who plays on Sundays over at Dolly's, has been playing with those nonstop.
Perfect.
She also went 2-1 in a single tournament at one point. So
awesome.
She was in the round where it's like she was 2-0 going into the third, which means if she won her third round, she won the tournament. I was like, oh my god!
Watch out, Isaac.
My own
We're
Isaac?
coming for you.
Yeah, exactly.
We're getting there.
New prodigy.
We're getting there. But that said, before we get to the questions, I want to take a second to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/HappyLittle Heroclix. Check it out if you want to help support us in your own little way. We're opening up a new $5 patron tier, which should be triggered come January, assuming I can get everything set up. We're going to have a Roll20 party, and we're going to play HeroClix, but I'm going to be throwing curveballs at everybody whenever I can. Weird stuff lets you try new stuff, and I want to kind of get everybody having a whole bunch of fun in that format. And while I'm thinking about some paperwork-related stuff, I want to thank Rick Yell for emailing me and reminding me that I needed to update the Everyman format web page. If you check it out at marriedwithclicksbattlereport.wordpress.com, you actually can access the Everyman project updated legality list, because I forgot to do that for a little while because Popper's more popular than mine. It was so popular it made me forget my format, and I gotta keep it alive to whatever degree of it that I'm going to keep it alive. There's a small vocal group of people who still play with the format, and I love you guys for it. All right.
What's the difference really? Is yours white tab only?
Mine is strictly white tab, yes.
Okay.
So like,
Yeah.
as far as the WWE stuff is concerned, it's only the starter set stuff that's going to be allowed in my format. So
Cool.
More formats, the better.
What's that? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this game
Gives
just
us
lends
more to
itself
do.
to formats, and we just gotta get them out there. All right. So first up, we have Michael Fedor, our alpha patron. Speaking of patrons, he wants to know, or he thinks we're gonna go right to it. This may be more of a mind of madness question, which that show is not going to exist ever for a little bit until I'm prepping for a tournament again. But if I suggested that I would like to have a tournament with one piece from the past keyword and another with the future keyword to represent the Dickens, Xmas, Christmas, Ghosts of Past, Present, and Future, how good of an idea is this? This is a brilliant idea.
Great idea. How do you do the present?
I think the present is just not past or future keyword. That's what I would say, right?
Very open. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that, especially if your team has to have one of each. Then I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. I think it's a fantastic idea.
I think it's wonderful. I think we should copy it.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
I might even steal it for one of my events and just make an edit to one of my events.
You should. That's what. The more I think about it, the more I think that that's one of the best ideas I've heard in a long time because it's. I love the fact that it keeps it as open as it does. You got tons of different options to play with, and especially if the present can be literally anything, you can fill in the difference quite a bit if you do, a standard 300-point game or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about stealing formats, Jeremiah Peterson's venue, I think it's Game Night, has a 12 Days of Christmas, whatever, scenario where basically you have to play 12 characters, each having some sort of representation rules based on each thing in the song. And we ran it last year at 4-1. It was pretty fun. I'm going to run it again this year. So
cool.
It'll be interesting.
Cool.
Hopefully Tom can make it.
Before I pass them, my big thing is if you double check your format when you come up with these ideas. I feel like past and future is kind of okay in modern, but if you don't feel like there's enough or the rarity skews too high, open it up to Golden Age.
I would expect Golden would be the best for it.
Devon?
I mean, Golden and not having a format based on the past and not allowing Golden seems just counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Hey.
My holiday themed formats at the venue I run are always pretty open. I very much just go for make it Christmas themed in some possible way. So yes, past and future definitely works. Other people will bring ice characters because snow. Why not?
We actually do have Jacob Marley, don't we?
Yes,
Yeah.
Jacob Marley's in the Undead set.
Yeah, I thought so.
I feel for these, since they're very casual focused, you want to make it as open as possible so every one of your regular players feels welcome to bring something holiday themed so they can participate. Because the more wide open, you never know. People's collections is what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Or what they have at home to build with in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah, if you're running these events and you're worried about people's collections, always make sure as the judge to be ready to be like, I can bring you something. Well, just ask.
Even that, I'll tell people that they still don't message me, and they'd rather just play their own stuff.
All right. Next up, John Murillo. What ideas do you have when HeroClix players in your group slowly fade away and you have just one or two showing up for your regular games? Note at one point we had upwards of 10 to 12 players showing up regularly. This is one of the most frequently asked questions I get around 2 times a year. Post-Worlds and now. these
kind of now is also kind of post-World, so.
Yeah. I mean, well, when I say immediately after Worlds and then there's a bump up where one or two sets will come out and people will be showing up. And then we get into this Christmas holiday season. And this is a hard season to run HeroClix. I know a lot of stores just stop running tournaments in December. And it's very difficult to manage events. So my best suggestions when it comes to when you feel like the player base is going down, talk to your store, see what you can do about getting quick start kits or stuff like that, or ask around, get some quick start kits, run some demos, have demo product available so brand new players can come in and be like, oh, I've got a couple figures. Make sure you open up the game to Golden Age too, because when you get new players, all of us are guilty. We give them our old crap. And a lot of times they find out the hard way. It's like, oh, it's modern age and I can't run my stuff, and this represents half of my collection. So run more gold. I always say run more golden age, run some demos, and use social media to your advantage. Use the store's social, work with the store on social media, and do what you can as far as, you know, getting the word out as best you can. And this is the holiday season. This is a hard time to do things, so possibly look forward to like the new year to get this stuff kind of running and going. And just, you know, always make sure you're announcing your events on a regular basis, and talk to your players at all times. Make sure, hey, are you okay with the events? Is everything going well? You know, is something wrong? Something we need to talk about? Are you having a problem with specific things, so that you as a judge can adjust the formats to make everybody happy? Is kind of one of the things that you may want to take a look into. Tom, any ideas?
I mean, I'll be honest. I think of anyone on the panel at the moment, I'm probably the one least qualified to speak to it, insofar as I've never either run in a store or run events at a store. I've only ever just been someone who goes to events. I mean, you know, it's maybe easier said than done, but if you know the community is small enough that if you know people who aren't showing up, it may be worth just kind of, these days it's not that hard to just kind of message them and ask what it is that is taking them away. Like, are they busy, or is there, you know, are they losing enthusiasm because, you know, they like the comfort of modern age because they don't have to think about things and there's too much golden age going on. They like the comfort of a smaller format and all the formats are 1,000 points. They're tired of all 300-point games and they want more 1,000 points. You know, stuff like this, and it just is a starting point just to see what's going on. And other than that, I mean, I think it's hard to say how you attract either a new audience or you try to attract back people that used to be there. But certainly, if you make it an event and you try to reach out to people to see what would make them feel more welcome, then at least I can help tread the water a little bit. I don't have a great answer.
Well, Jay, you run a venue. Any of your ideas?
I am having the same problem myself, so I don't know if I feel qualified for that sort of thing, but. Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe reaching out is possibly the best way to address it, at least to start. So, yeah, I guess I can't disagree with that.
Okay. Devon?
Well, having done this myself and throughout the eras of HeroClix, it went from 20 players from War of Light down to like 4 or 5 by the time Civil War came about, and then back up again more recently. But it is that time of year, so if he's specifically talking about like within the past few months, that's to be expected, I feel, at most venues this time of year, just because people have family stuff they're doing, holidays, traveling. And there's nothing new to be released at any given moment. I will repeat what everyone else said: use social media, talk to your normal players. Don't feel like you have to play the same format over and over. Ask them if there's something specific they want to try out, because really it's open for anything at this point in time, because we don't have WizKit open till February, so play what you want. Also, check with the store. We do have monthly OP kits they can order to get through these months without anything else going on. And don't be afraid to ask if they'd like to do a discount sealed or something on older product to try to move stuff that's just going to sit on the shelves anyway. I know my store, we're going to do this week is we're going to have a $15 event. You get your choice of one X-Men unpainted miniature and 3 packs of Regenesis, and that's your team, just to try to move some of the Regenesis we have left.
That's cool.
Cool.
So if you happen to have a store with stuff on the shelf, not even Golden Age stuff, see if they'd want to discount that to attract some players. It's always fun to do a battle royale with old boosters, especially if players are given the choice to pick any set they want. Those always get interesting because you're picking one figure at a time from multiple sets, so the teams are always really, really weird and fun. It does get complicated if they start trying to choose Infinity War or Avengers Infinity or X-Men Animated, so sometimes those aren't allowed. But we have one venue in Omaha that has stuff going all the way back to the first carded set, first Avengers set. So it's always fun to pick some of those boosters occasionally for a battle royale and just watch those figures die instantly.
Yeah, exactly. Play that abomination.
Yeah,
and just cry.
So you're forcing at least 3 other players to also play with those figures. Like, here, have this 7 attack.
Right?
How does it feel?
These were the days.
Yeah.
Look what we had to deal with. Those, I've played a couple games with my friend Aiden where we played nothing but cardless figures, and nothing feels better than saying, "All right, I have a 6 attack against your 12 defense."
It's a joke. I can go as far back as kind of the beginning of carded, but it's hard to go back beyond that, I find. And I know that's going to be, not everyone will agree with that. I mean, I did play that far back, but
So we were like, "Oh, it was so simple then." Yeah, and then eventually, one of the things that kind of happened, and this is why we changed to the carded era, is if you go back in time to like 2 or 3 sets before the carded era, and you would hear a character's name, and if you had any idea who that character was in the comic, you knew exactly what the dial was going to be. Because like Superman and Shazam are basically going to be the same dial. Wolverine and Sabretooth are basically going to be the same thing. Just, certain powers will be spaced out in a specific way, but like that's going to be a charged Blades Claws figure. That's going to be a close combat expert with combat reflexes character. That's going to be a hypersonic yo-yo to a super strength. That's going to be a long-range squishy guy. Like it got to be pretty simple to figure out how things are going to work. Now we're going to go, are they going to have a special power to represent this? Are they going to have a special power to represent that? How's Doctor Doom going to work? How's Doctor Doom going to work, Wiz Kids?
Yeah, let us know.
Mr.
Scott.
Fantastic.
Tom, that one's a stretch.
Answer my emails, Scott.
You got my Fantastic Four starter. There's only 3 characters in it. Where's Sue Storm?
You could do that with Sue Storm, John Cena.
Yeah. I was gonna say, are we not through that with the John Cena jokes? Come on.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that John Cena is probably one of the best close combat figures I've seen in a long time.
I bought him the other day. I really like him.
He's got everything you want in a close combat character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of just make them too good.
I swear you'd think Vince McMahon had something to do with the game design.
Yeah, exactly. They're pushing him to the moon.
Oh, God, I love having a wrestling fan in here again. All right, next up we have Aaron Cantu in the community group wondering, what's a kappa? We're done with this conversation. Also, I made some realizations. So, hey, we're going to be in search algorithms again, guys.
Hey.
But a serious question is, which of the unpainted X-Men minis are must-haves? As far as must-haves go, I'm gonna say one, just so I don't take, because there's so few to talk about. I'm gonna say Psylocke. I feel like is a must-have, especially if you didn't acquire the Chase Psylocke. Tom, have you had a chance to look at them, or we're gonna pass it to Devon first?
Pass it on.
Devon.
Wolverine. Hey, that's easy.
Okay, cool. Jay.
Cyclops is the easy answer, but is kind of one of the few remaining answers.
Mm-hmm. Basically, you'll see a commonality is anything you can call him with an ID card that's reasonable for a turn at least, probably okay. It kind of leaves Warbird and Cannonball and Magic kind of in the lurch. Magic, though, is not bad, I think, but she fits into a different must-have kind of situation where it's like she's a cool transporter type character. I think is
unfortunately a little overshadowed by the really amazing Ravens we have now for both Monster and Mystical. So
yeah, but I believe these are going to be Pauper legal, so put that into consideration.
Hey, there's that.
Well, I'm just looking at them now. I mean, is this true? Is Storm really only cost 40 points for 10 attack, 3 damage with RCE?
Oh yeah, sorry, Storm is a good one.
That's a pretty good call in.
So,
yeah, the sheer amount of insane options we have for Storm is redonk.
Storm
Yeah,
went from, like, what are we going to use for Storm to here?
Yeah, she may not be the only Storm I have on my sideline, but for 40 points, that's pretty good.
Do I want to call it the 25-point insane one, or do I want to call it the 40-point ridiculous one,
Right.
or the 85-point what the hell is game design one? Like,
well, the 25-point was not so easy to get your hands on.
Well, I'm just talking purely gameplay wise, not
True. I mean, I guess
wise.
what I'm getting at is, given the option, I would probably take the 25 more often. But 40 points is a nice little backup for those who can't afford it. And hey, like I said, 10-3 with RCE, that goes away. That goes a ways, I should say. Doesn't go away.
And even outside 300 modern. There's some good keyword filler on some of these. I know the Cannonball has aim, which is his big new story of owning aim. I don't read Marvels. I had to ask about that. But there's some nice keywords on these guys that they don't usually get.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, what do you know? Warbird's no good. Surprise!
Yeah.
I love the character so much, but she is just so. Warbird is my new Donatello, I think.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna be happy with the. Sorry, my new Luke Cage. It was Luke Cage first that I've always had a problem with the figures on, and then it was Donatello. But Donatello was just my second Luke Cage. Warbird's my third Luke Cage.
Well, don't forget Thunderbird. Like apparently, variations of bird are just not for whiz kids.
I'll still never forget your review of Thunderbird from Uncanny X-Men.
Not great.
It was one of the best reviews of a figure ever. It's second only to Brainiac's Skullship as a great 400-point character.
Yeah.
I think the number one for me is still Indestructible Hulk, Shelf Destruction.
Yeah, the shelf full of Hulks. Well, I don't open any of these anymore.
What is it with Hulks and things that start with I, like Indestructible, Immortal?
We haven't seen the Immortal dial yet, have we?
We haven't seen.
No.
We've seen like literally 3 dials from that set from GTM.
Yeah.
Article.
But I've heard I'm excited for it. Also, am I right? Is it true that we were going to get an Earth X Thor in that set?
Yes, we are. That's my main thing I'm excited for this set.
That is the thing I'm most excited for now. I love Earth X. It's one of my favorite theme teams. There aren't very many ways
excited for Leonardo da Venom.
Yeah,
Or-
Leonardo Venom.
Oh,
Steve-
No, that's not that set, but that is a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that too.
very exciting.
I should not have eaten popcorn today. I've got like a kernel stuck behind the wire that's in the back of my teeth.
Yep. You have no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah. All right. The chat seems not much in the way of questions, though a little bit of smack talk about HC Realms forums.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Hey.
And inline dial isn't working, so that's like a whole thing now.
What's that?
The inline dial function isn't quite working. Like it's not showing any stat powers, so it's just like a bunch of stats and nothing else.
Huh.
Fun.
Yeah, because the website wasn't badly designed enough.
Where is you're saying that in the forums that's happening?
Yeah, like if you want to insert the dial like in a forum post.
Oh, I see.
I know you work. You work with the volunteer team, right, Jay?
I am part of. I don't even know how many people there are that can submit dials now, but I am one of those. But they still have to get approved by Typhon, who does not play anymore. So I don't know how often he's going in. But yes, I'm one of the people who does that now for some reason.
Interesting. Not much going on the Patreon either. Patreon Discord. So I think we're gonna be calling it a night, unless there's anything else anybody wanted to say before we wrap it up.
No, good man. It's nice to be back. Nice to see all your shining faces again.
I'm only shiny because I'm still kind of sweaty for my workout.
No, you're looking good. You're looking good. You lost weight.
Jay, Devon, anything else?
Nope.
All right. So before we call it a night, don't forget, check the description below. I put Devon the link to Devon's YouTube channel. That is a Happy Little Heroclix. It's an interesting little way to get into the game. Devon shows. I just recently did a video on the skirmish format, and it is a delightful little video to catch a hold of and see how the format works. Also, check out our sponsors over at. Oh, sorry, Devon, you want to jump in on that one?
Nope. I just said it's fun right now.
It's all good. I want to thank our longtime sponsors over at MajesticCCG.com. Check out the Apex Insider. $3 a month gets you access to some of the greatest brains in the game of HeroClix, and occasionally my stupid brain. But $3 a month gets you access to some of the great minds of the game of HeroClix, and they share everything that makes them good in the game. So keep your eyes on that. Also want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. New Year's going to be a good one, guys. I'm looking forward to sharing a whole bunch of cool stuff with you guys in the future. And here's hoping that everything goes well. So it is the downtime, the season. 'Tis the season to come up with some good ideas, because February will yield us some constructed WKOs, and you might have a neat little team idea. So grab some hot cocoa, get in front of the fire, whip a map on the table, grab your friend, and get some practice in, because practice will make your team better. Have a good night, everybody. I just killed my Nintendo Switch.